paper. Take a look at me.
But if you want to start a business...
Oh my...
What's up guys, Politics Gaming here, and today I am going to do a economic tutorial on Power and Revolution. This is gladly given. I requested information from the forums, and I will put the link in the description below. And this is also to the request of one of the moderators from the forums. And basically, I am going to give you guys information on how to make your economy great again. No pun intended about Trump. So, first things first, information about the economy. This is information that I know myself, and I've also seen on the forum. These are several of the important things. Your expenditures, what you're spending, comparison from last year into this year. Social Security, education, debt, and debt reimbursement are my top three expenses. Defense, $46 billion, that needs to go up. I am playing France today, and budget. Here are other important information. These are things that you need to watch out for. Public debt. Public debt is the percentage of the debt that is in comparison to the economy. So the GDP of France is what? $2.9 trillion, and my public debt is $2.9 trillion, so it's about 99% of it. Public debt, just like I said, is the total amount of debt that you have incurred. Sectors nationalized, the sectors in your economy that basically give you money. So in total, no, I think that's expenses. Yeah, that's expenses maybe. And keep on going. Here's also another thing that you have to pay attention to: the budget deficit. This is the percentage of the GDP that is deficit. The deficit, and I'll put it up on the screen right now, the difference between deficit and debt is that debt is how much money you have spent overall, like how much debt you have borrowed. Deficit is the amount of money, how much you've been spending and how much you've been getting, how much revenue you've been getting. If you have more expenses than your revenue, that's a deficit. If you have more revenue than your expenses, that's a surplus. So that is something that you need to pay attention to. Next thing, taxes. Taxes are basically a tax is basically a way of revenue for the government. There are many different kinds of taxes in Power and Revolution. Value-added tax, income tax, large tax on large fortunes, inheritance, vehicle registration, real estate, audiovisual, airline, employer, social security payments, company tax, which is the most important one, tax on company turnover, etc., etc. Tax on the pornography industry. Make that 100%. Just kidding. You can create more taxes, which France is seems to be a very liberal country, so it does seem they do rely on a lot of taxes. $891 billion we get from taxes out of $909 billion that we spend. So that's a very large portion, which I don't think is good. You shouldn't rely on taxes, maybe, because a lot of countries do that. And same thing over here, debt servicing, blah blah blah. Next thing, currency. This is also another very important thing that you need to pay attention to. Inflation is nearly directly caused by your growth rate. If you have a high growth rate, then you will have high inflation. Inflation tries to match with that growth rate. It is also controlled by your interest rate. I am in a European Union country right now, France, and so I cannot control my interest rate. If you do feel the need, because I learned in my Turkey series that you cannot rely on being in the European Union for a low interest rate. Your growth rate will still start to kill your expenses, and whenever you have high inflation, your expenses go up. Whenever you have low inflation, your revenue goes down because your money starts being more and more worthless. That's basically what inflation is, and I'll probably be putting definitions on the screen in front of you. Inflation is the worth of your money, of your currency. You can also see it right here, which changes over time while you play. Exchange rate, dollar, euro, dollar, blah blah blah. But we use euros. So this is getting information from the forums that I will also give you and I will not be executing it unless you want me to make a video of executing it. Alright, this information that I am giving you right now is from none other than Gabe and TNTNUCLEAR from the forums. They are very good people. They help everyone out in the forums, and they are very amazing people on the forums for the rulers of nations. And this phrase is going to be popular now. It's going to be my catchline. I'm going to need the Mr. Churchill and the Iron Lady on this, being that their profile pictures. Gabe's profile picture is Winston Churchill, and then TNTNUCLEAR's Margaret Thatcher. Alright, from TNTNUCLEAR, from Margaret Thatcher. Unemployment job creation. A healthy unemployment level should be at least 5 to 7%. If your economy is too weak, 7% if your economy is too weak. No, a healthy unemployment level should be 5%. 7% if your economy is too weak, and 3% if too strong. In order to reduce and raise unemployment, the minimum wage is your best friend. If you want to make unemployment higher, just hike the wages. Other way around also applies. To create more jobs, best solution is to increase GDP. A higher GDP means more economic activity, therefore more jobs. While creating jobs is a good thing, be aware to not cripple your economy while doing such. Growth, inflation, interest rate, and debt. Growth in a settled economy must be always steady. Bursts of high growth are almost always followed by bursts, what may put you into a difficult situation, which I have suffered through that in this game. The best inflation target should be at least -1 to -2%. That if you have a steady growth of 2 to 3%, in order to regulate inflation, you need to use interest rate tools. Unless you have a crippling debt any level above 75%, you should hike interest rates to 20%. It provides a strong currency and low inflation levels. The best way to fight debt is through austerity. Austerity, if you do not know what that means, austerity is basically cutting federal spending, so cutting Social Security payments right here. Doing this right here, which would add and cut the deficit, that is austerity. Now we go on to Gabe's economy guide, and this is Sir Winston Churchill. Economic growth. Economic growth in GPS 3, he made this whenever Masters of the World was out, is simulated as the yearly rate. That is, when you see in the tab growth rate, it isn't showing economic growth monthly, but by year. But by year. That is your growth forecast for the end of the year. So if you do not have that delicious 5+ growth rate at the beginning of the year, don't worry, you have 12 months for growth to accumulate. Of course, that means you should never ever start growth-inducing trade contracts day one. So what he's saying is that you should never start making contracts with other countries, like as soon as you get in, because depending on contracts, as soon as that contract runs out, you're screwed. Especially if that was like a 15 billion, $200 billion contract. And whenever you do all this, this all takes a lot of time. Currency and inflation, we already went over that. Here is taxation. Make your budget to pass in a single parliamentary session by passing it as a reform. So whenever you are passing tax laws, just put it into a reform to make it easier to pass. Make your budget revenue neutral. Tax raise must always be offset by a tax cut somewhere else, and vice versa, depending on the effect you are trying to go for. If you are having trouble passing the budget, try making a televised statement to convince voters and your supporters, or just go to for a House of Cards style political maneuvers, whatever floats your boat. Any other information? Basically some of the most important things. Sectors. Sectors are, there's at least like 120 different sectors in the game. So basically, I can just pull one of them up. Building, housing, and roadway. There are many different options that you can do in to make any of these sectors better. Trade balance, we have a negative trade balance. Let's go to nickel, rare earth oxides. Some of these you cannot produce because, like coal, sometimes you don't have any coal in your country, so you can't produce it. So go to steel. Okay, so you have many different options. You can put an embargo on a country, so if you want to place sanctions on a country you don't like, then I can go to, see, I already have sanctions on Iraq and Iran. I can go right over, where are you? Syria. I can go to Syria, and then I can refuse to export steel to Syria, so they won't be using my products. You have subsidize. Subsidize is to give state aid to a certain sector if they are not doing as well as they can. It also helps you start up several different sectors, so I can go over here, maybe to silver if I can do that, or on nickel, iron, drones. These are how you can make weapons. I can come over here, I can subsidize it by about $100 million. Usually, see, I usually put in maybe $50 million. And then custom duties, this is basically putting a tariff on it. If your country is in the World Trade Organization, they will not like it, and they will most likely kick you out. The max I know you can do is that you can do 5%. Exonerate. Exonerate basically exempts collecting taxes from that certain sector. So I can exonerate it, impose a price reduction. I don't know why this is black. I think that's just a bug that the company needs to fix. And adjust the degree of nationalization. Nationalization is basically how much state control you have over that sector. I'm not paying attention to that. State sector totally privatized. Privatized is basically like private companies can take it over and they don't have any government interference. Sector with state involvement, I have somewhat control over it, and I have like it says, a minority shareholder in that sector. Sector under state control of the state, I have complete control over that sector, and I can manage the workforce that I want in it, so I can put like 25,000 people in that sector, and then I can manage the wage, so I can pay them like 2,000. I think yeah, this is monthly, so I can pay them $2,000 a month. Basically that is it. If I missed anything, this will be on the forums, by the way. If I missed anything, go ahead and ask it in the comments, and maybe me or one of the forum moderators, or Sir Winston Churchill or Margaret Thatcher will give you guys assistance, and I will put the link to the forums, the Ruler of Nations forum, in the description, so you can go ask your questions there as well. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.